Dear teachers, I want to welcome all of you to today's session where we are focusing on interactive teaching with group and class discussions. As teachers, you are the backbone of the competence-based curriculum. What we are doing here is not just about techniques, it is all about preparing learners who can think, solve problems, and thrive in today's world. Today we're going to explore how group discussions and class discussions can transform your classrooms. Our focus is on group discussions and class discussions. These are not just activities to fill time, they are powerful tools for active learning. They allow learners to become more than listeners, they become thinkers, contributors, and problem solvers. When learners are engaged in discussion, the classroom atmosphere changes. They ask questions, they share their own experiences, they challenge each other's ideas, and they learn from one another. That is transformation. It shifts learning from being teacher-centered to being learner-centered. Under the competence-based curriculum, your role is not to do all the talking, but to guide learners to discover, reflect, and share knowledge. This is a big shift for many of us. Traditionally, we thought our job as teachers was to explain everything while students write notes and remain quiet. But under CBC, we are called to step aside from being the answer givers and instead become facilitators of discovery. For example, in a group discussion during geography lesson, you might ask, what problem do floods cause in our community? Instead of giving them all the points, you let learners share their lived experiences, roads washed away, crops destroyed, houses flooded. You then guide them to connect those ideas to the curriculum concepts. In a class discussion in history, you could ask, why did Uganda fight for independence? Learners propose reasons, debate with each other, and together build a clearer picture of the historical context. So the learners are not just repeating what the textbook says, they are reflecting, reasoning, and constructing meaningful ideas. So KAWA CONNECT also supports this kind of approach by providing you with a lot of other resources. So let's talk about why we focus on interactive teaching. With interactive teaching, learners learn best by doing, discussing, and reflecting. So as teachers, you know that many of our learners come to class with a real life experience and knowledge, especially the secondary school learners. So remember this, learners do not come to class empty. Each learner brings something valuable, experiences from their home, their community, their culture. For example, a learner in a rural area may already know how to plant beans, fetch water, or care for animals. A learner in an urban area may know how to use a smartphone or navigate transport systems. These are real life experiences and they are important. They are important starting points for learning under the CBC. So when we allow them to talk, share, and reflect, they learn better. When learners discuss and share, they make connections between what they already know and what they are learning in class. For example, in any science lesson on energy, learners can share how they use charcoal, firewood, or solar at home. This makes the science lesson more meaningful. When they reflect and compare, they also develop critical thinking. That's why we must resist the temptations to lecture all the time. Talking less as teachers actually gives space for learners to learn. That's why discussion are at the heart of CBC. So in CBC, CBC is not about cramming notes. It is about active participation. Discussions are one of the most practical ways to make lessons learner-centered. They make learners active constructors of knowledge and not just passive listeners. So as teachers, let's play our role, let's guide our learners, let's ensure that discussions are built on knowledge and understanding and skills which may include communication, critical thinking, teamwork. All these are achieved through discussions. So let's ensure that we take this to a high level. Uh, Colleagues, in group discussions, you step back and let learners lead. Your role is to set the task clearly, divide the learners into groups, and guide them if they get stuck. Each group should have a leader, a recorder, and a reporter. This gives learners responsibility and accountability. So KAWA Connect provides some sample group tasks and questions. You can assign your learners immediately without extra preparation. So play that role and these things will be much easier. So let's look at different examples. So imagine you are teaching senior 3 entrepreneurship. Instead of lecturing, you give learners a question. What businesses can young people start in our community? So they discuss, they brainstorm, and then present. Then you step in at the end to link their ideas to entrepreneurship principles. This way, learners discover that business is not just theory, it is about their own lives. So you give them a task, you allow them to report, and then things end very, very well. Now let's look at class discussion. So when holding a class discussion, you are the moderator, not the answer giver. Set up the class in a circle so learners see each other. Ask open-ended questions and set them and let them respond to one another, not just to you. If some learners dominate, use tools like a talking ball or tokens. The goal is for every learner's voice to be heard. All learners should be encouraged to contribute. So a teacher keeps asking questions, learners play the role of contributing their ideas. Um, we're looking at some examples from senior to geography. You ask, why do floods happen in Kampala today? Or you can use an example of your local area. So learners will mention urbanization, poor drainage, and so on. Then let them suggest solutions. Finally, you summarize and disconnect it and connect it to curriculum concepts. This method makes learning real, practical, and engaging. So the teacher simply facilitates and summarizes. It does not really do all the explanation. So this is how, this is where we put a lot of emphasis. Now, still we have to emphasize um, that we should remember teachers' role. Remember, teachers, your role is to guide, not dominate. So ask guiding questions, encourage the shy learners, and make sure the discussion remains focused. Always summarize the key points at the end. So with the resources that we have provided, you can still go a step ahead and support learners. So facilitator, not answer giver. Provide the guiding questions, encourage equal participation, summarize and link to curriculum goals, use KAWA Connect where possible, discuss and guide with sample lessons, then also provide assessment rubric. Then so teachers, think of how powerful this is. Discussions, building a learner's confidence and critical thinking. They learn to respect each other's voices and ideas, a skill they need beyond school, and most importantly, they connect classroom learning to their communities. This is the spirit of CBC, teaching learners not just for exams but for life. So links school learning with the community life. So, final takeaway. So, in conclusion, dear teachers, discussions help us to shift from being the sage on the stage to the guide on the side. The learner is central. Speak less, let learners talk more. Use KAWA Connect to make your lessons practical and engaging. When learners construct knowledge themselves, they understand, apply, and remember it better.